So first we'll discuss dowry system in India. Why it is in news? It is in news because Allahabad High Court, while allowing two criminal divisions pertaining to a dowry case, two cognizance of the misuse of Section 490A of Indian Penal Code, proposed certain safeguards and directed the state authorities of Uttar Pradesh to take necessary steps for their implementation in a given time period. Okay. So this was the news, right? What is Section 490A we will discuss, and what is dowry system in India we will discuss, and the related issues. Dowry system is especially prevalent in the highly prevalent in the northern areas and also in all other parts of the state. First thing is that a girl child has to generally a girl child they have to pay huge amount of money during their marriage if they want to marry a well of family. For this, for example, in UP, if a girl is getting married to a clerk, then they have to pay at least a dowry of 25 lakh. Yes, 20 to 25 lakh is the minimum dowry that to be given to a clerk, right? Government clerk. So the marital system is predominantly uh, based on dowry, and that is accepted in the society. It is not something a matter of shame. It is a matter of pride as well that for the boy that my son has gone had taken a dowry of 25 lakhs. That means he has a good social stature. To give that 25 lakhs or a huge amount of dowry, what happens? The parents of the girl child they continuously save money and since her birth by cutting her expenditure from her nutrition and also from her education and other expenditures. They they cut their money. So the lifestyle of a boy and a girl they are different, right? Because a girl they have to spend a huge amount of money in case of a girl, first thing. And as it's like as they have a girl, they have to make her married and they have to spend a huge amount of money. So they think it's a burden. Whereas if you have a boy, he will take that much of money from her from her wife or the person who will be married. So at an average, there is a difference of huge difference. In case of girls, they are paying 25 lakhs. In case of boy, they are getting 25 lakhs. For this reason, there is high embryo and killing of embryo, which sex determination during the embryonic stage. They kill the baby. They kill the womb. They kill the child, right, inside the womb. So such type of so that increases that deteriorates the sex ratio. Presently, it has improved significantly after various government schemes and social awareness, but still they think a woman and a girl child as a burden because of the dowry system. That increases that make a poor sex ratio and also that creates a huge gap in the education, right? In the literacy matter also there is a huge gap between men and women so far as the northern states is concerned as compared to the southern states, and that is one aspect. Many times what happen still many times what happens the parents of the boy they are also not satisfied with the amount of dowry they get from their daughter-in-law, and they started torture they start torture to physical torture to their daughter-in-law, and that is what we say as mm, domestic violence starts in the name of dowry. To protect and to control this domestic violence, government has brought section 490A. Right? To control against domestic violence act, government has brought 490A especially to control this dowry system. But after many years, what has been seen is more than 80% of cases, right, it is misused. Section 490A it is misused. That means if there is any quarrel between the daughter-in-law and her the in-laws family, right, means father-in-law or mother-in-law, if there is any conflict, that the daughter-in-law, they go and file a case of domestic violence even if there is no truth behind it. So frequent arrest of persons started. So many persons get arrested, even if they are innocent. Even some child who are below 10 years, they are also they are also arrested in the Domestic Violence Act. So such type of happening, it is occurring even today. That is section 490A of Indian Penal Code. So as the misuse is so much, that's why Allahabad High Court, it has allowed true criminal revisions. Right? As the misuse is very high, right? Many people misuse the Domestic Violence Act. It has decided to revise its verdict. Okay, the High Court expressed the concern of the growing tendency of dowry victims to rope in the husband and his family members using general and sweeping allegations. With false allegations, the cases has been increasing. The direction entirely include constitution of a family welfare committee in the district legal authority, handing over the past information report to such a committee immediately after its registration. No arrest can be made by the police during the cooling period of 2 months. There should be 2 months investigation on this FIR. Within 2 months, no arrest can be done. Earlier, what was happening? Immediately, the case was lost by the daughter-in-law. Immediately, the family members are get arrested. So, if you have anger, then you can easily arrest the family members. The High Court specifically mentioned its judgment, taking guidance from the judgment of Supreme Court of India in Social Action Forum for Manavadhikar versus Union of India. Manavadhikar versus Union of India. It has taken the Social Action Forum, that is constructing a family welfare committee, right? Family welfare committee to be constructed. Okay, next. The dowry system in India. Dowry is commonly known as Dahej, any from gift that groom side asks for a bride side, directly or indirectly. If any such demand is precondition to the marriage, then it is considered our dowry. If it is precondition to the marriage, right? Dowry jihad, it is precondition to the marriage. That means if you are not giving me 1 lakh, then I will not marry. This is what we call as dowry. The practice is common in cultures that are strongly patrilineal, partly local, and have male biased inheritance laws. Male biased inheritance laws means for example, in case of normal Hindu families, what happens? The property goes from the parent to the son, right? So the inheritance, the properties goes in the name of the son, not in the case of daughter, nor in the case of daughter-in-law as well, right? So male biased inheritance. As per the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, dowry has been defined as any property or valuable security given or agreed to be given either directly or indirectly by one party to a marriage to the other party to a marriage, or by the parent of the either party of the to a marriage, or by the person either party to the marriage or any other person before or any time after marriage, right? According to Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, any property or the valuable security given or agreed to given directly or indirectly by one party to a marriage to the other party to a marriage, or by parent of either party to a marriage, or by any other person to either party or the either party of the marriage to any other person at or before or any time after the marriage, that can be considered as dowry. Social structure. The patriarchal social nature of society which treat women as subordinate sex that is dependent on men for social and economic needs. Thus, dowry need to be needs seen as a compensation for it. Economic needs. Why it happens? That is dependent on men for social and economic needs. The dowry is seen as a compensation for it. That means usually what happens in case of India, hardly 25% of women are working in our workforce, right? Their participation in the workforce. So rest 75% are they are mm, dependent on their male counterparts. Some are also working in honorary sector, which is so there may be some miscalculation of data in case of honorary sectors, but it's not. We can say it's not never more than 50%. So many of the 50% of the so at least 50% of the women are housewives, right? They're dependent on the male partner. So it dependent on the male partner, especially in case of economic and social needs. When they're based on economic needs, then dowry is seen as a compensation for it. One time compensation by the parents of a family they give as dowry. Another thing is that generally in case of what happens if somebody has a huge amount of money, but his daughter is not as qualified or as the general parameters on which people marry, for example, beauty or education or and or job, all these things, if they lack in any matter, right? And the parent they want to give their daughter to a person of higher stature, then usually they give that money as a compensation, right? That is why this tradition exists. Even if nobody asks for it, even if many times it is not demanded, they themselves, the parents of the daughter, even if they are not interested, usually they give it, right? So that the marriage can happen. Otherwise, the person has the right to break a marriage without saying anything, right? Suppose so there is just a information that a person is a government employee and they wish a dowry of 25 lakhs. Indirectly, they may say it by various means. And if they realize that a person is not able to, the other person, the father of the daughter, is not able to give that 25 lakhs, then they may cancel the marriage by saying any other excuse. It is very difficult to prove. Now, also, what happens, another thing is that many times when people have money, right, they themselves are interested to pay huge amount of dowry and property and make their daughter married in a person with higher class. So it's not that. So that is why that is why the problem exists, right? It is the problem exists usually. The person who are demanding this dowry are not are persecuted. Tradition, as people believe they are adhering a social practice as a matter of choice, they are being forced to. This is social practice. Many times it's just because of social practice. They give many goods also. Many goods, furniture or money or like that. This is social, it has become a social custom. And people usually do not break the social custom or tradition. Then, social security. Dowry is considered social security as spent to prevent any ill treatment to the bride. It's one type of social security. Ill treatment of the bride. As he has, as somebody is has brought a huge amount of money, that the respect of that girl in the in-laws family increases because that is one type of social security. Right? Social security that yes, I am not coming and exploiting your resources only. I have also got huge amount of resources that added to your family. The social one type of social security. Lack of awareness. Less awareness among people about dowry related laws and regulations. People don't know the laws and regulations regarding dowry. Impact of dowry system on the bride's family. Financial burden is used from increases with the status of the groom. As the status of the groom increases, financial burden on the family increases. Right. Matter of prestige is more spending. Matter of prestige, as more spending means higher position of the bride's family. Right. The bride is judged on the basis of what she has brought or what arrangement she has made for the relatives of the womb on the day of marriage. Then female infanticides and undernourishment. Yes, female infanticides that also occurs. Right? They kill the infant, they kill inside embryo. That also increase. Undernourishment, they compromise their expenditure on bride. Objectification of women. Right? Objectification of women means women is treated as object. That means if you give this much of money, you don't have that much of value. All the money, all the value of suppose for example, if somebody they says that give 25 lakhs, otherwise I will not marry you. Right? In that case, what happens is he don't have any value without 20 lakhs of the money. This is one type of objectification. Right? Consider herself as liability of her family. Yes, it's like a burden. If somebody's marriage require 25 lakhs for a normal lower middle class family, then it is one type of liability. They will think herself a liability to the family. And psychological burden, and so not able to call off marriage in case of marital issues. Right? In case of marital issues, because if they want to marry one second to another person by divorcing one person, then they have to again pay 20 lakhs. As a huge amount of money is expend, I mean, as huge are expenditure in the marriage, then usually they do not want to break the marital issues, even if there is discontent, heavy severe discontent, and the psychological burden she feels on society. Suicides, domestic violence, and subordinate status of women. Many times suicides occurs because of domestic violence. This is dowry and domestic violence. Domestic violence occurs in the name of because of dowry. If somebody is not paying dowry, he will be beaten by the in-laws of the family or tortured physically. Right? Indian society locked down by others due to the evil practices. In Indian society looked down by others due to such evil practices because of the dowry system. Indian society is criticized. Legal status of dowry in India. The payment of dowry has been long been prohibited under the specific Indian laws, including dowry prohibited under the Indian laws, including Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, to prohibit or giving or taking dowry. Anyone who violates the law punishable with imprisonment for a term not less than 5 years and fine not less than 15,000 or an amount valuable to the dowry whichever is more. Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. And Section 303 of IPC, it is about dowry death of a woman subject to cruelty by harassment by her husband or any other relative of your husband, that is related to dowry death. Section 304B of IPC. And 490 of IPC against husband or relatives if the wife commits suicide within a period of 7 years from the date of the marriage. Then 498A of IPC will be used. Within 7 years of marriage, then if wife commits suicide, 490A of IPC. Section 174 of CRPC also amended the secure post-mortem in case of suicide or death of a woman within 7 years of her marriage. Right. So within 7 years of marriage, if a woman dies, the post-mortem is it must be done. Post-mortem will be done. Right. Section 113A has been introduced in the Evidence Act 1872, raising the presumption of cruelty as defined as the under section. This is the legal status of the of dowry in India. Supreme Court observation in Visakha versus State of Rajasthan. In Visakha versus State of Rajasthan, the Supreme Court issued direction to enforce fundamental rights in absence of fundamental rights, in the absence of law in certain cases for sexual harassment at workplace. Right? Enforce fundamental right. That means protection of life and personal liberty. Personal freedom, personal liberty must be respected. In absence of law in certain cases, sexual harassment of workplace. Sexual harassment in our workplace has been increasing. The cases under so it has launched Vishaka guidelines as well. Supreme Court has said not just laws, but people have also changed from within and learned to treat a woman with respect. And social level of dowry must be vanquished once and for all. It requires the law commission of India to take a fresh look to more teeth to the law against the dowry. Right? Law against dowry because mostly that means it needs to be slightly increased, the more stringent, right? Okay. Education and independence are powerful and valuable gifts that can lead to human empowerment. Accepting dowry should be made social stigma. All generations should be at rest. For this social consciousness about the ineffective dowry system needs to be focused, aroused. Next topic is Australia seeks to revitalize the Indo-Pacific ties. India is one of the Australia's closest security partners, and government is focused on revitalize Australia's historical deep engagement in our partners across industry. The Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister of India, ahead of the visit of India, the first high-level visit from Australia to the formation of the new government, high-level visit across to against with our stairs with our partners around Indo-Pacific. So Australian minister they are meeting their partners on Indo-Pacific, especially USA, Japan, and India, because they have formed Quad group, that is quadrilateral group, that is an informal group between India, Japan, and USA and Australia. Aim. India is one of the Australia's closest to our security partners, and the government is focused on revitalizing Australia's historical deep engagement with our partners across the globe. Australia stands steady, ready to work closer with India in support of open, inclusive, resilient Indo-Pacific because there is high dominance of Chinese China in Indian Ocean and South China Sea and East China Sea. That's why the US want to, safeguard the Indo-Pacific because it is the one of the epicenter of world politics regarding trade. So Indo-Pacific, it is the rule-based international order has brought peace and prosperity to the Indo-Pacific. Rule-based international order, right? Not arbitrary. Every country is not working arbitrarily. That's why it has. That's why it has brought peace and prosperity to the Indo-Pacific. And India-Australia Defence Cooperation. Defence industry and security cooperation between India and Australia are significantly expanded in a few years before both the bilateral as well as multilateral levels. In 2004, both sides extend the defence cooperation, cover research, development, industry engagement, hold regular meetings, defence minister, regular maritime exercises, service to service talks. So both countries are cooperating each other on various dimensions. First maritime exercise, Austin Dex was conducted in Visakhapatnam, right? Bilateral maritime exercise, that is Austin Dex, it conducted into Visakhapatnam. Their Air Force participated for the first time in the exercise of Pitch Black in Australia. INS Sahyadri has participated in Kakadu, Dubai in the exercise of Australian Navy. These 27 nations have participated. The fourth edition of Austrahin Special Armed Force Exercise was held in 2019. The Indian Australia Defence Coalition encompasses almost every major function of the military. That is strategic dialogue, coordination, information exchange, military exercises involving around air, maritime forces, then exchange and training, defense, scientific and technological cooperation. So in all these dimensions, India and USA, India and Australia are cooperating with each other. Strategic dialogue, defense manufacturing, defense cooperation, exchange and training, Military exercises like or index like and quad informal group like quad. Recent initiatives taken by the both countries. India and Australia have increased interoperability in the maritime domain in recent months. Both sides have signed joint guidance to for Navy to Navy relationship document. Navy to Navy relationship document. It has signed between India and Australia. Close cooperation in regional and multilateral fora like Indian Ocean Naval Symposium (IONS), Western Pacific Naval Symposium, and Indian Oceanic Association (ASEAN) are some of the highlights of the document. Right. So these are the important organizations. They are some of the highlights of the document, and that is signed between both countries, that is India and Navy, for to strengthen their Navy relationship. The document aligned 2020 Comprehensive Strategic Partnership agreed by Prime Ministers of India and Australia. Expanding bilateral defense cooperation, India and Australia signed mutual logistics support agreement. India and Australia has also developed license officer for Navy Formation and Fusion in the Navy's Information Fusion Center for Indian Ocean region as a part of joint maritime efforts. Right, regarding the giving information regarding tsunami or anything like that, there is Information Fusion Center of Indian Ocean region as a part of Australia has deployed as a license officer. India and Australia have also dealt with disruption of people to contacts because of COVID-19 pandemic. So they are taking steps regarding people to contact. Defensive aggressive engagement activity India Pacific Endeavor 2022 returns India this year amid 75th anniversary of India's independence. Indo-Pacific Endeavor 2022. So what is 12th Ministerial Conference of World WTO? This is the WTO 12th Ministerial Conference was held in Geneva and Switzerland, that is the headquarters. Major outcomes of 12th Ministerial meeting first is cutting harmful fishing subsidies. The WTO has passed multilateral agreement that will curb harmful subsidies on illegal, unreported and non-regulated fishing for the next 4 years for better protect of global fish stocks. There will be no limitation on subsidies granted and maintained by developing and least developed countries fishing within their exclusive economic zones. So anybody can fish in their exclusive economic zone, that is within the 200 miles, right? What they cannot, I mean, or cannot make unregulated fishing in the next 4 years. Why? To protect the indigenous weeds. India's role. India and other developing countries have pushed to remove a section of the proposal that would threaten some subsidies that would assist small scale additional fishing. That would threaten some subsidies, right? India and other developing countries, because many times what happens is that cumulatively USA gives much more fertilizer, facilities to the farmers, but we cannot give such facilities to the farmers because we have some legislation that are against that is in certain cases that is against the wishes of the citizen, right, or the farmers. Like for example, they will not allow to increase the they WTO will not allow um, For example, for unregulated fishing in that in a particular area. Unregulated fishing means high fishing. India's role. Remobilization proposal threaten some subsidies, assist small scale fishing. Yes, some subsidies. The WTO is controlling some the subsidy design. That's why in developing countries they have opposed in this regard because the developed countries ultimately they give more subsidy as compared to the developing countries. Right. Global food security. Members are agreed to bind decision to exempt food purchase from UN World Food Program for the humanitarian purpose from any export restrictions. Right. Food purchase from WFO. That should be from any purchase restrictions, export restrictions. Then WTO members issued declaration on the importance of trade and in the global food security that they would have avoid ban on food exports. The declaration has issued a light in the global food shortages and rising prices caused by the war between Ukraine and Russia. Also, there is post-pandemic economy, which is not so much strong because there is a long stretch and long time. So everything got stalled for a long time. Right? And e-commerce transaction. India asked WTO to review extension of the moratorium on the custom duties on e-commerce transactions, which include digital traded goods and services. It added digital traded goods and services. The members have agreed to continue the moratorium on the custom duties on the electronic transmission, electronic transmission until subsequent ministerial conference March 31, depending on what will come first. Until ministerial conference to March in 2024, the members agreed to continue the moratorium on the custom duties. Right. So these are the business done by Commerce Ministry. So the answer writing what you must write is the aviation sector has seen steady growth in the last few years. However, it continues to face multiple challenges. So we have to write the answer question regarding aviation sector. It has seen steady growth in the last few years, but there is very so many there is some to face multiple challenges. What are the challenges faced by aviation sector? It is one of the fastest growing industries in India, undergone huge transformation to liberalization, and yes, because of liberalization, the trade in aviation sector it got boosted. In 2001 it was 14 million, but in 2017 it was 140 million. It's very huge. Despite such huge material, airlines in India still find it difficult to sustain in the operation. Why airlines are still finding difficult to sustain? First is policy. While a successful governments didn't come with long-term vision for the airline industry, airline has been not been left led for itself serve elite class since metros. So there is policy paralysis as well. Then high taxes on aviation turbine fuel and maintenance of repair and overall high taxes. Then rupee depreciation since airline pay in dollar in terms of severe utility. Rupee depreciation exchange rate that fluctuations that also affect the price of petrol or diesel. India is a price sensitive market. It compelling airlines find it difficult to high ticket prices because they themselves may get the backlash. Okay, sustainability of the UDAN scheme. UDAN scheme, it has spotted a host of regional airlines come up with existing operators to enter regional flying. UDAN scheme is UDAN the scam is funded by levy of the passengers flying metro cities, and the funds collected are used as a subsidized UDAN routes. UDAN routes, recent indication that are made all UDAN routes that have been flown their way to funding deficit. Right? So there is also UDAN is facing the problem of deficit and other airlines. In such a situation, the expenditure should not be too huge. The center allows 100% FDI airlines but capped 49%. A partner who wants to invest in non-farm aviation is highly capital intensive business, and FDI cops prevent them from acquiring new technology and the best practice. So to reduce the volatility, government is taking strong, engaged in strong policy making, which is harmful for the businesses. Archaic rules such as route disposal guidelines. Archaic rules, which are non-necessary rules. So these disposal guidelines mandate airlines to fly a certain percentage of flights in smaller or unprofitable than air routes, drive cost and introduce inefficiencies. So there is inefficiency, there is uh, there is huge amount of public expenditure, right? All these are issues of return scheme. As India position itself to lead and play a dominant role in globally, its aviation sector cannot be overlooked, right? We have to develop our aviation sector. It has a huge potential, and we have a specialized sector, this growth multiplier, including economic output, jobs, trade, right? But for this maternized sustainability policy, inventions are necessary. National Civil Aviation Policy 2016 right state direction for the aviation sector needs to reforms and existing rules. If more reforms in the existing rules, right, more liberalization, that is very important. So here the lecture end. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to VANIK-IAS.